Hey y'all, Chelsea and Danny here.
Enjoy this episode of Today's Homeowner here on YouTube. Older homes have lots of character, but sometimes they're just old. So this week we're taking on a dated den do-over, and I think you'll like the change.
This is just really beautiful and spectacular.
"15 years ago, Mark and Sharon Scott fell in love with this home and bought it.
We've had a real love affair with this house, though. We keep thinking, well, maybe it's time to downsize, maybe it's time to move to something smaller. And every time we go out and look, we just say, but we just really love this house.
It's a great place for entertaining. All the summer holidays we celebrate here at our house out by the pool. So
This seems to be the gathering for
It
you,
is.
and we like it that way. But the house was built in 1985, and so there's obviously a lot of 1980s stuff that's still in the house.
While they've updated and made improvements over the years, the dark dated den that overlooks the pool and patio has been mostly untouched, complete with grass cloth wallpaper and dark wood paneling.
15 years ago, we kind of liked the grass cloth, kind of liked the wood and how it was, but it's just dated. And back in the 80s, again, that was a great look.
it's way past time for it to go. I'm very anxious to get rid of it.
So we're about to help them tackle a dated den do-over.
Well, a lot of time when people have paneling and that type of thing, they get a little tired of it being a little dark. Is that really what's motivating the whole idea?
Yes, it's very, very dark. Need to lighten it up some.
And then I don't know if there's anything you can do with paneling or not.
There are a lot of ways that you can approach it, different steps, certainly removing all of it, that type of thing. But the first thing we'll need to do is get the grass cloth off, the wallpaper off, and really see what that surface is. Then we can go through a few options like that.
Sure.
Another thing we had in mind was wondering if you could possibly do something with these clouded windows.
The old fogged up windows. A lot of times you can change the whole entire sash out, but normally the best thing to do so that you don't have to worry about matching all of the stain and the finish is simply to cut that panel out of there and get a replacement piece. It takes a week or two to be able to do that, but not that hard. Luckily you only have a couple of them in here.
Good.
We had a situation where we had a drain pan from one of the air conditioning units that it got blocked up and it overflowed, and when it did, it put some stain on these ceilings. And I didn't know if there was anything we could do about that or
Well,
not.
fortunately, it looks like it didn't damage the drywall, so that's probably a matter of just stain blocking it. Is that part of it there?
Well, we had a very special Christmas tree incident.
Christmas tree damage.
Yeah, that's Christmas tree damage, and that also happened to be the Christmas tree that I went into the pool with.
You fell in the pool with the Christmas
Carrying
tree.
the Christmas tree up here, I fell in the pool.
Well, that was a rough Christmas.
It was, and when that happened, Sharon was very concerned about the tree.
Is that right?
Yeah, she asked very
What about
quickly.
you? She wasn't concerned about
She
you?
didn't ask about me. She wanted to make sure the tree was okay.
They say it's important to water the tree
Well,
regularly.
it was well hydrated.
Stayed very fresh that year.
Were you thinking of any paint on these cabinets or the mantle, or what was your thought
We
there?
kind of like the wood and the way it is, but if you had some ideas about maybe ways of making it pop more, or maybe there's different things we could do with it, we would certainly be open to that.
Okay. I would leave the crown molding, the chair rail, and the base.
Okay.
Again, dress those up a little bit, and then look at lightening up the areas in between. So I have to ask a question, how handy is he?
He's great.
He's good? Good.
Just
You?
give him a little bit of
What
guidance.
about
He's
her?
great.
How's she's pretty good?
She doesn't paint so well.
She doesn't paint so well.
Yeah. There's other things she does really, really well, but painting is
But
not one of
painting
her
is
strengths.
not
All right, well,
strong
we'll just
point.
have to figure out who does what. You know what? This is only about 2 or 3 days worth of work. If you guys can work with me and Chelsea and Alan, we can put this thing
We would
together.
love to do
Sure,
that.
All
we'd
right,
love
that sounds
to.
perfect. That sounds great.
Give me a week and I'll get the glass guy out here. He'll make some measurements so he can order the glass. It's paneling.
I'll be darned.
Nope, it's drywall. There we go.
Okay.
I thought I saw that, and I thought it was okay. Good. Yeah, well, that's good news, because if it was paneling up here,
Oh yeah.
yeah, we'd have a lot of work to do.
While I get ready to cover this hole with drywall, Mark begins prepping the walls with a wallpaper scoring tool, and Alan begins mixing up the wallpaper removal solution. This starts with hot water and concentrated wallpaper stripper. Then we add fabric softener, baking soda, and vinegar. This mixture can be applied with a pump-up garden sprayer, but we're also using a roller because the grass cloth absorbs it so quickly. The next step is covering it with lightweight plastic.
Yeah, there's a lump in the wall. I told you, you're not funny.
Once this is done the right way, it will keep the removal solution from evaporating, so it can work on the wallpaper glue while we get ready for the next project.
One of the best ways to store long, narrow pieces of wood and small diameter pipe is to store them overhead, so you're not tripping over them all the time. The problem is, this is what you typically see. The pieces are slipped on top of the ceiling joist, where they're out of the way, but they're almost impossible to get when you need them. So here's a better solution. I took a section of plastic downspout, and I cut two 5-inch long sections. And then I screwed them to the underside of the joist. I just used two 1-inch long screws to attach them to the ceiling joist. And now, you just take the pieces and slip them into one, slide it all the way down, and then into the second one. Slide it right in. There you go, just like that. Now you see, these are spaced about 4 feet apart, so there's plenty of support, the pieces don't sag, and now they're up out of the way, but readily accessible.
We're helping Mark and Sharon update their dark dated den, which includes removing the old grass cloth wallpaper along the upper half of the walls.
It's way past time for it to go. I'm very anxious to get rid of it.
We've coated the paper with stripping solution, covered it with plastic, and now we're waiting for it to work its magic.
All right, we've tried this trick before and it's worked really, really well, but that needs to stay up there at least a couple hours.
Okay.
Hopefully, everything will peel right off.
It'll peel down.
Okay. And we know this is drywall up here, so we know what we're gonna have to do with this. There'll be a little bit of, repair up there, but the big decision on what do you guys wanna do here, this groove really isn't that deep like
Pretty
a lot
shallow,
of
isn't it?
So if you want to, we can take some sandpaper and sand it, and take some joint compound, some drywall compound, and float all of those things out.
Yeah, because then it doesn't look like painted paneling.
Right, right.
It just looks like we painted a wall. I like that a lot.
Okay, so you're good with the drywall knife?
I'll find out if I know or not.
So once we mix up the joint compound, Mark is ready for his first lesson.
Okay, you want just about this amount, and then the back side of it clean like that. That way it'll minimize it. Then, start at the bottom, and then you just want to rest it like that, and then just
go up those
real
lines.
Easy. You're basically just filling up the gap, and then you want to kind of get the excess off.
Okay.
Because the more you leave on there, the more sanding that Sharon's gonna have to do.
Ah, good. Nanny, it must be tough to work with amateurs every week.
But I'm just glad you're a proficient painter, because y'all have a lot of painting to do. That's the second shift. While we're at home watching TV, you and Sharon will be
Painting.
stroking away on the painting over here. So. But we'll be available by cell phone if needed.
Just for encouragement?
Yeah, just for encouragement. Or to settle any domestic squabbles.
Domestic difficulties. Okay, I understand that.
Meanwhile, Chelsea and Sharon are finalizing her color selections for the paint that will cover these walls.
And you can always do like this on top and this on bottom.
Okay, let's go with that.
Okay.
While we complete filling the paneling grooves, Alan is priming those water stains on the ceiling. Finally, we're ready to see how well the wallpaper stripper is working.
Look here, Mark. This is what we want right there. We want that to happen right there. All right? Oh, yeah. This shouldn't take more than 4 more days.
Boy, y'all are so slow.
There you go. There you go.
Hey, we like this.
All right.
That is just
Awesome.
spectacular. Well, I have to say, it's coming off easier than I was afraid it was going to come off.
With all of these hands, it goes pretty quickly. With the paper gone, I can finish filling the void left by that 80s intercom system, and soon we're ready for the next chore.
All right, we got everything we need here to tackle the ceiling. You know, when we put the stain blocker on it, and that blocked it out, but of course it doesn't quite blend in. So painting a textured or popcorn ceiling, a little tricky. So you want to roll this way and only in one direction. You don't want to keep going back over. You'll start losing a little of the popcorn. You don't want to do that. So one of you guys need to roll, one of you need to cut in. Y'all decide on what you want to do. Which one?
I'll roll.
You roll. Okay, we got to roll
I
it
think
for
she
you
decided.
here. I think she decided to. You got that. Of course, I strongly recommend that to keep it out of your hair. There you go, Mark. Wasn't going to leave you out on that. Mark, if you'll get ahead of her in cutting in, just about 2 or 3 inches out from the blue tape and around the lights. Hey, look at him, man.
Last time we painted, I was relegated to closets.
Is that right?
And after the interior of one closet, I was assigned another
I
job.
assigned her to other things.
Well, you must have did a pretty good job though, because you've elevated up to ceiling roller. Okay, Sharon, you see where he's cut in. Not much of a difference in color, but what you want to do is just real even, just like this, and that's done. You don't want to go back over that.
After a little demonstration, Sharon takes over the roller while I begin touching up the nicks and cuts left in the drywall after we remove the paper. In no time, the ceiling is complete and we're ready to set these guys up for the evening shift.
Okay, I think we have you all set up with the oil primer and a brush and a roller to get a coat of primer on all of the woodwork, just a little bit of sanding, and you'll be ready to go and have some fun tonight.
Well, we'll look forward to seeing you in the morning.
Absolutely, we'll be here in the morning.
We'll be here.
Okay. Hey, today was really a good day. I mean, we got the ceiling completely finished. We got the drywall in pretty good shape. Might be a little bit more drywall compound we have to put on and sanding, but by the end of tomorrow, we'll be almost complete with this project.
One of the things I like most about doing the Best New Product segment is that I get to see really cool tools. And Shay, you've got something here that's pretty innovative. I like it.
Yes, it's called the Heart 7-Piece Combo Kit Quick Attach.
I like this. Take a look at this. The reason why it's called Quick Attach is you release the handle and it slides off. So you can exchange it for other blades, but I also like the fact that you can adjust it as well.
And not just that, but you have another cool feature about this. It's rust-free and it has holes at the bottom so the water can drain out of it as you clean them.
Okay, so the tools don't rust. Now, I do like the fact that this kit comes with different size notches. So depending upon the size of your flooring, you've got a V-notch in there. You also have a float. So I like all of this. It's all put together nicely. And once you store everything in its place, you simply just slide this down. And now you can use it as a carrying case with a handle. This is awesome.
Awesome.
We're transforming the dark, dated 80s den in Mark and Sharon's house into a space that's brighter and more reflective of this century than the one in which their home was built. The wallpaper is gone, and we've hidden the seams in the wood paneling. Overnight, Mark and Sharon coated the paneling with primer to prepare it for paint, and early this morning, the guys from the glass company returned to replace the fogged-out windows. After carefully removing the trim around the panel, they can remove it, clean the opening, and replace it with a new panel. The seals in these new panels won't let moisture in to fog up the view from the updated den.
Hey, good morning. Good morning. How you doing?
Good morning.
How'd everything work last night?
Great. I was really expecting several hours of work after you left us last night. It actually only took about an hour and 15 minutes.
Perfect.
That was great.
Yeah, that's great.
Walls look fantastic. You got to be happy with that. I mean, even the patches, despite who the drywall man was.
Come on now,
They
come
look
on,
good.
come on. That looks pretty good. Well, I'll tell you what, with the ceiling looking so good, and at this point, walls looking good, we're really ready to go ahead and remove all of the masking tape around where we have it on the crown molding, do a little bit extra taping, and with the 5 of us ganging up on this upper wall, we should be able to get a coat on that pretty quick.
Great.
All right, perfect.
Even though we masked the crown molding before painting the ceiling, we had a little bleed through. That's inevitable, so Alan's using an old painter's trick to clean up the edges. By wrapping a damp rag around a putty knife or 5-in-1 painter's tool, he can carefully scrape the fresh paint off of the crown molding without marring the ceiling. After a little more masking on the underside of the crown, we're ready to begin applying Sharon's new color to the upper walls, and she seems pleased.
I like it. I think it's going to really brighten things up a lot. So
Looks better than grass cloth.
it definitely does. It's kind of interesting. Last night I came down after we were finished and walked through the kitchen, and all the paneling had the white on it. And it was just kind of shocking. It caught my eye to look back again.
you're so used to
because
seeing
I'm
that.
so used to it being so dark all the time. And I'll be honest, I would have never undertaken painting outside of this project before.
That's easier than doing the ceiling too, isn't it?
Yes, much easier. The hands over your head the whole time is very difficult.
With this crowd of painters, it takes almost no time to finish coating the upper walls.
You know, overall, the walls look really, really good, and it's not unusual when you're removing grass cloth or any wallpaper, you end up with a few dings and dents in the wall, and we had a few that we repaired, but once you get this first coat on, you see a few other things there that need to be addressed. So what we'll do is we'll finish sanding the lower part of the wall, then I'll take some joint compound, once everything's dried, touch up the last few little dings and dents, and it'll be ready for that second coat.
When the sanding is done on the lower walls, we begin applying a slightly darker shade. We're using a 3/4 inch nap roller here to create a little more texture since we're covering paneling rather than drywall. By the time that's done, the upper walls are dry so I can inspect them for any dings and dents. Using a bright light shining across the surface is one of the best ways to find these small flaws. Then I mark them with a pencil so that when I come back with the joint compound, they're easy to spot and cover up. This last coat of mud is really thin, so it dries quickly, and once it's sanded, we're ready for the final coat of paint.
Well, Mark, what do you think about the old dark paneling that used to be down there?
I tell you what, anybody that would believe that there had been paneling under there, I would have never thought you could have made paneling look like you were painting over drywall.
Well, we were lucky that the grooves were not the old deep grooves. You can still do it, just take about 3 coats instead of just like a coat and a half that we've done.
It is amazing how that looks.
You think Sharon's going to be happy?
I think Sharon's going to be very happy.
Awesome.
Which is what's most important anyway.
Obviously, a very wise man. And once the painting is done, we follow his lead to make sure we put the room back together the way Sharon wants it.
Point, Sharon, point.
One question I hear a lot is how do you cure a squeaky floor? If there's carpet over the floor, it can be a pretty simple fix. Begin by pulling the carpet up from the tack strip along the nearest wall so that you can roll it back. Now it may be necessary to separate seams at doorways to allow this rolling. If you do this, be careful not to tear the carpet fibers. Once the carpet and pad are clear, check again for squeaks and mark the location on the wood subfloor. Then look for nails in the area. Several nails in a row indicate where the floor joists are located. Connect these points with a line and you'll know where to drive screws. 2 or 3 inch long screws with countersink heads should solve the problem because they won't pull out like nails do over time. The flexing plywood rubbing on loose nails is what produces most squeaks. Sometimes seams squeak when the 2 sheets of plywood rub against each other. Screws on either side of the seam, along with a healthy dose of wood glue in between them, should cure the problem right on the seam. When all is quiet, have a flooring pro re-stretch and re-seam the carpet as necessary. Mark and Sharon have a beautiful house, but their den was a casualty of 80s decor. The combination of grass cloth wallpaper and wood paneling left the room dark and dated. Plus, the years had added a few stains and marks to the ceiling, and the fogged windows weren't letting in all the light they could. Sealing those stains and repainting the ceiling was a simple trick. We had to call in a pro to replace the fogged glass, but the result is fabulous. Removing the grass cloth and disguising the paneling was a little bigger undertaking, but we managed to pull it off, and the change is pretty impressive. The complementary tones that Sharon selected give the walls character without weighting them down. The whole room is much lighter and brighter, and that's exactly what these optimistic homeowners wanted.
Danny, I would have never believed in 2 days that this room would have transformed like this. This is just really beautiful and spectacular.
Well, some projects work like this, some don't. You guys worked hard. That helped out a lot, and we had a lot of good luck that helped us with this one.
Now, while I've got your attention, though, I collect plates. Can I ask y'all some questions?
Sure.
And you know, that's exactly the way home improvement projects are. Sometimes they go a little smoother than others. If the wallpaper had caused us more problems, it could have been that we're just now getting to the painting. And you need to think about that. Anytime you're doing any type of home improvement project, go into it with a positive attitude and realize it may take a little longer, but hopefully your next project will end up just like this one. And we hope we've been able to give you a little inspiration if you have one of those dark, dated dens. Hey, thanks so much for being with us here on today's Homeowner. I'm Danny Lipford. We'll see you next week.
This puts it brush.
Yeah, that's so pretty. You would look that good if you had all that stuff on your face.
Oh, I had gray hair.
Yeah.
Hey, thanks for watching this episode of Today's Homeowner. And don't forget to comment, like, and hit the bell icon so that we can notify you when new videos are posted.
And don't go anywhere, click around and continue the home improving fun.